Hey everybody, welcome to this video. Happy 2022, Happy New Year. Hope it's off to a great start. Today I'm going to show you a piece of gear in my concert arsenal that you may not expect the concert photographer to have. So let's check it out. Alright, so if you're into concert photography, if you do it at all, you know that a good set of gear to have is the two zoom lenses, 24-70 and 70-200. That setup should cover you in most small to medium sized venues, and you should be set whether you're shooting in the pit, fortunate enough to do that for a show, or even if you have to shoot in the back or front of house or throughout the venue in a different area. For a smaller mid-sized venue, anywhere from 24 to 200 should cover you pretty well. Where the issues come up, and where it did for me, is when venues get bigger than your smaller, medium-sized floor pit type of situation. When it's a real arena or a real stadium that's big, and you have to shoot exclusively from front of house towards the back. So for me, I had to try to figure out how I was going to get the zoomed in shot from a far distance away. So actually the beginning of this story starts back a few years ago when I picked up the lens that I'm using for those situations. A little while ago, I was going through a vintage lens phase, trying to build a vintage lens kit for cinema work, high-end professional video work, many focus stuff, so I could get the look exactly how I wanted it without having to use autofocus and some newer lenses, just so things could be manual, look nicer, have a certain flair to them, that sort of thing. So back in the day, I was looking at different lenses on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, even some eBay stuff too, and was slowly building a vintage lens kit. And one of the lenses I ran across one day, it was a Nikon 300mm 4.5. It was only like $80, so I bought it and figured it'd be a cool toy to use and mess around with. Now, unfortunately, it very quickly ended up in the drawer, forgot about it. I didn't really use it for more than the occasional shooting a bird or something like that. So after a while, of course, I got into concerts and been slowly getting into that. And then we get to the point where I am dealing with bigger size venues and where I need a more zoomed in look. The first shows at the end of last year where I needed a lens like this and where I was exclusively shooting from front of house. And so I started thinking, well, what can I use? Of course, you could go the route of using like a 70-200 or just zooming in or cropping in a heck of a lot. Now, I didn't want to have to use that. I wanted the shot to come from the camera zoomed in and not having to do any post work to crop in at all. Now, of course, I still do that. I still use those lenses in a bigger venue like this, but they just don't get me as close as I would like for some shots. So I started thinking, and then remember that I had this lens, this 300mm f4.5. And of course, I also have a speed booster for using some of those lenses. So the end result looks like this: 300mm f4.5 hooked up to my GH5 with a Chinese off-brand speed booster. So with this kit, it gets me to like a 430mm, like f2.8 or f3.2 full-frame equivalent. So it's perfect for bigger venues like this, like the XL, like Target Center here in Minneapolis or St. Paul. It does what it needs to do and gets me that zoomed in look. And I've actually even used it in smaller venues to get portrait style up close work from the back. So this is the kit. I'll throw a few shots up here of a few things I've done over the last couple weeks. As I said, just at the end of last year, 2021 is when I had the need for this. So I'm happy I had this in the closet. I've used different things like film photography and other things once in a while, like I said, but it's getting most of its use these days as a concert lens. Now, if you know anything about lenses like this today, as compared to the 80s, zoomed in lenses like this, prime lenses, cost a decent amount of money, from a few $1,000s all the way up to like 15 grand for something like a 400 or 500, 2.8 or even an f4, the big stuff that like sports and wildlife professionals use. That costs a lot of money. So I'm fortunate that with mirrorless cameras, you can adapt old lenses and use them. Now, of course, the one drawback is that many of the focus is the only possibility on lenses like this. You don't get autofocus, but although that's a problem, it's definitely not like a $10,000 problem, for instance. So luckily, things like focus peaking exist, focus magnifiers to help nail the focus. I'm still trying to figure this out and nail this workflow down a little bit on the focus front. I've gotten some decent shots with it, but unfortunately, sometimes things have been off a little bit, not super sharp. So I'm going to try opening up the lens or bringing down the lens a little bit as far as aperture goes, shooting out like f.6 or 6.3 maybe or something. In bright venues shouldn't be a problem, just tune the ISO a little bit, and it should be good. So here's the kit again. Like I said, you'll see some shots of it. It's worked out pretty well, and it's definitely solved the problem of larger venues on the cheap. So So if you have any concert photography related questions, put them in the comments below. I'll see if I can answer them in a timely manner. But again, here's the kit. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Peace.